Brad, you managed to beat some of the top teams this year. Are you confident you can add Geelong to that list?
I think if we could be guaranteed we'd be at our best, I think we'd have a level of confidence. But each game's different. We've got planned really well, prepared really well. We've got an enormous amount of respect for Geelong, both as a club and as a team of individual players who've got great capability. So we know anything less than our best won't be good enough, but we're confident of producing it.
Judging from that first comment, do you still go into games wondering which North Melbourne team's going to turn up?
I think everyone does. I mean, look at the last round 18, even last night's game. We're getting very, very much closer to the AFL's goal of concept where any team can win on any given day against any opposition. So, I think that most teams have that problem. Ours has probably been highlighted more than most, but unfortunately we live in a world of where negativity creates more headlines than positivity. I think if you'd sat at the start of the year and said we'd beaten 4 of the top 5 sides, 2 of those on the road, we'd be in 6th position at round 19, I think most people would say it's pretty good, but that's not the feedback I get.
Drew this week said that loss sat in his gut throughout the bye. What have you looked at most during the bye to make sure it doesn't happen again?
Oh, look, it's the disappointing part of it was the reasons we got beaten, other than the opposition being very good, which they were. 2 key forwards kicked 10 goals between them versus our 3 key forwards who kicked 1 between them. But the other reasons, other than those pretty significant ones, were similar to our previous losses. So we've gone back and addressed that again and really implored our leaders to make sure that we get the job done this time.
Brad, do you think that, just back on that last comment, do you think the negativity around North Melbourne, perhaps outside, is unfair?
Oh, I don't really care. We'll just go about our business. Your results speak for themselves over time. As I said, we're 6th on the ladder, 10 and 7, beaten 4 of the top 5. If we'd beaten all those other sides, and we'd be sitting comfortably inside the top 4, and that's what people at North Melbourne get frustrated at, because they're used to success, and they believe they deserve success, and that's what we're striving for, and we're striving to provide for them.
This run and carry, has that been a key message this week, and does that lead to not only you guys being unpredictable to your opponents, but maybe the coaches might wonder how is this going to turn out when you really take the game on?
Yeah, well, I think we've had an attitude that to beat the best, you've got to play a style of footy that really puts the opposition under pressure, makes them defend you, and Geelong have done that for a decade. So, we will always try and take the game to the opposition. The frustrating thing has been that in some games we've sat back and it's appeared that we've hoped the opposition have made some mistakes and we capitalise on them. We don't want to be that sort of side that just capitalises on the opposition's mistakes. We want to force the opposition's hand and get the game played our way, and that's what every team's trying to do.
Was that one of the take-home points from the loss to Geelong earlier in the year, that lack of run? I know it was sort of wet conditions, but was that one of the key points?
Oh, the second half was okay. The first half, we certainly got outworked. So that's something that we've looked briefly at, but I think a lot's changed since then.
Boomer said the other day is the element of complacency against the bottom sort of teams. Do you agree with that? Or?
I think you've just got to look at the evidence, and the facts would back that statement up.
Daniel Wells, how close is he? We've seen him do some more work lately.
Yeah, he's completed a number of main sessions, and he's over the injury now, so it's a matter of getting him conditioned and ready to play. And we're really hopeful that's not too far away. But we've got to be careful that we don't put him in the team because our side looks better on paper. We've got to make sure that he comes back in and he's ready to play his best footy when he comes back in. So, whether that's 1, 2, 3 weeks, we'll just have to continue to monitor him. It's been frustrating for Wellesley, for all North people, but the light's at the end of the tunnel now.
Is a half in the VFL an option, or a bit of time there, or probably comes straight back to the seniors?
Yeah, I said a while ago he wouldn't play VFL footy, but he's been out longer than we all anticipated. So, we'll have to weigh that up. But he's certainly a valuable player for us. But as I said, we'll just go down the path that gives him the best chance of playing the best footy when he comes in.
Do you have any idea of a return date?
Oh, it'll be before the end of the season, no doubt. So whether that's next week, the week after, or the week after that, but I can't tell you definitively. But I think it'll be one of those 3.
Chris said earlier in the week that he thought free agency should be abolished. Do you share those views?
Not entirely. I see where he's coming from. I think he used the word distasteful, and I think there's an element of that. But look, my view and our club's view has been that we don't fear free agency. We always saw it as a mechanism to aid player movement. I think that when players get to the latter half of their careers, the balance of power shifts more towards the club, because the club can say, well, we'll offer you a contract if you don't want it. You don't really have an easy mechanism to move. And trading is not the easiest mechanism to move. So I think for those players, free agency is a great thing. What I'd be concerned about is if you've got players in their absolute prime who are going to get paid really well by their clubs, being paid even more by someone else. I think the good players will get paid well regardless. And free agency is a mechanism. If the club won't offer a player what he thinks he's worth, he's got an option to move. But if you lower the threshold from 8 years to 6 years, you start to see players who are in their prime, who are going to get paid well anyway, moving for even more money, which then distorts the market even further.
So more deals like Buddy Franklin.
Yeah, well, that's the concern. I mean, that a club like Hawthorn will invest, pick 5 and develop him, and then lose him for nothing. So I think it's more of a mechanism to support player movement later in players' careers rather than in their prime.
What is your thoughts on Geelong this season? Do you think they're flying under the radar, given that they're equal top on the ladder?
Oh no, they're flying under my radar. I still think they're as good as any team in the competition, and history's shown that. They look, even when they haven't played their best, they've found ways to win, and that was evidence again last night with another really good team, a contender who probably didn't play their best but found a way to win, and that's what the good teams do, and that's what we haven't been able to do. We haven't been able to grind out the wins when we haven't played our best, and that's our challenge.
Is there a fundamental that you've got to do against a side like Geelong? What's the single most thing that's important?
Going to be a little bit smart here, Bruce, and say you've got to win the ball against them. You've got to use it really well, and you've got to defend well. I mean, that's, sorry to be too cliched, but they're the facts. I mean, if Geelong won the ball against us last time too easily in the contest, they outworked us, they used the ball better, and when we had it, they defended well. So we've got to turn the tables in all those areas.
You were about 6 goals down at quarter time. To pull back to 19 points, you must have done something right against them.
All those things we started to do a little bit better. So, that's our challenge, to do that right from the start and to put them under pressure, because they'll certainly be putting us under pressure.
Do you have any thoughts on James Kelly and his career?
I've been a huge admirer of James Kelly. 250 games is a fantastic milestone for any player, but James, to me, from the outside looking in, has been a very, very good player in his own right. But he appears to me to be one of those great clubmen that along with players like Corey Enright and those type of guys have been the glue that have kept that group together for so long. I've got enormous respect for him. I think people forget he was a first-round pick. I remember him coming through as a junior, a really talented player, turned himself into a really consistent, solid, flexible player who can play any position on the ground.
And has Lee Adams tried to get you lunch again this week?
Yeah, well, we're trying to bring some fun back into the footy club, but no, it's on a rotation basis. I don't have to do anything anymore. All the players do it for me, so wait on me hand and foot.
Were you amazed by how petrified he was?
Well, not really. I mean, I'm a pretty scary bloke.
Brad, just with a couple other blokes, Grimer's coming back in the VFL. Tippett and McMillan, where are they at?
Again, not far off. McMillan, we hope to play VFL footy this week, but it's 1 week away from that. Tippett, probably 1 to 2. But there's a lot of upside in our list for the rest of the year. Nahas probably, another couple, 3 maybe away. But that's a lot. There's a lot of upside potential for us, but there's a risk associated with that too, that we've got a lot of players coming back at the same time. So we'll just make sure that they've all got graduated programs, and we, as I said with Wellesley, we want to bring these guys back into the senior side playing somewhere near their best.
Do they come through the VFL first, do you think, given the length of time out?
Like
McMillan and Tippett?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think Wells has had more volume of work on the track than those guys, so he's probably the only one who we would consider not bringing back through the VFL at the moment.
Dumont and Mason Wood, are they any chance to debut this year, do you think? Or
Mason and
Dumont?
Oh, Dumont, yeah. They're the two that I think that stand out for us. we're keen to get them into the side, but again, we're not going to play them until they're ready to go and we think they can perform at AFL level. Wood in particular has shown some really good signs, but we've got some aspects of his game that we really need to get right. And I think when Mason Wood plays, he'll play well. But right at the moment, I'm not convinced that he's at absolute AFL standard right now, so we've got to continue to do the best thing for the team. But we've extended his contract, we've got a lot of faith in him, and when he plays, I'm sure he'll play well.
This may sound like a silly question, but just how important is this clash in the context of your season?
Oh, I mean, it's important because it's the next one. I mean, we've got five games to go to set ourselves up for the postseason. So they're all important. They're all worth 4 points. They're all worth the same. In terms of percentage, all those things. So, but this one's the most important because it's the next one.